guys, it's Jaylyn. I'm here today with the start of another writing vlog. It's been a little bit since I did one, so I thought it would be good to get one started because I'm kind of working on something specific right now. On February 28th, I had my last workshop of my degree. I was kind of a sad boy about it, honestly. But so that workshop was for my novel Honey Vinegar, which is what both my workshops this semester were for. So now that I've had both my workshops, I just have so much zeal and inspiration to work on the book and go back and start making the edits to it. There aren't really huge changes, but there are a few things I'm struggling with. I did really well on both my workshops. I got the best grades I've ever gotten in a workshop. My professor was really enthusiastic about my novel, which was really nice. I thought I would take you guys through kind of the editing process because that's what I'm kind of working on. Okay. I'm kind of drafting and editing right now. I don't know. Right now I'm writing chapter 7. Chapter 7 is called Shiny Moon, which is a play on moonshine. I'm writing kind of the main scene. I kind of have that chapter and then the 2 chapters after planned out, but then I also have some things that I want to go back and do. I kind of feel like I should do that now because there's some things I need to weave into the book. So these are kind of my issues with the book right now. One of them is that I have 2 characters who are just so underdeveloped. My main character, Sybil's mother, Eleanor, who I just changed her name because I felt like I was stuck in a rut with the character and I needed to restart. So I changed her name. Her name is Eileen now. That's her mother, who she's estranged from, and also her aunt who raised her. I was really having issues with both of those characters. They were both so underdeveloped. They both didn't really have a presence or personality or anything. I really didn't know anything about them. I hadn't really clicked with the characters yet. So I've been going back and doing concrete character building, meaning filling out a character profile for them, writing out paragraphs about their personality because I was just stuck in kind of a rut with these characters. Most of my character building is unconscious. At the times where a character's not working, it kind of has to be conscious because I've been working with these characters for months and they hadn't really clicked. I started with Eileen, well, her name was Eleanor at the time. I started by just writing out a long physical description of her. That's an exercise that I think works really well. I think sometimes when a character's not working, it's because you can't really see them. I knew vaguely what she looked like, but I really couldn't see her. It was very hard to envision her in the story, and so I did that, and then I started going into her background. And it's just really hard for her to have a presence in the story, for her to do anything when I really knew nothing about her. I found writing scenes with her super hard, gave them some kind of concrete qualities and interests and facts about them. The other thing I did was I aged Teresa down so that her and Sybil have more of a sisterly relationship. So she's 29 now. And I thought that worked really well with what we had of their dynamic because Sybil is so independent. So the other thing I started doing was on structure. I started this literally right after my workshop. I had my workshop and then I had another class, and then after that class I was kind of sitting alone on campus and I just started writing out my edits. So this is kind of my document that I'm working with. So I have all my chapters listed out. So this is chapter 1, is called Holy Water, and I kind of listed the things I want to happen and the changes I want to make. But this is kind of the loose plan I started working on. I'm really happy I did this because a lot of the time I have this issue with workshop where I will have workshop and it will give me so many ideas, but then I'll start sitting with all those edits I know I need to make. And I'll start to develop this mental block where I feel like there's so much I have to do that I don't know how to do it. And suddenly the task of revising seems so big and so impossible. So I'm glad that I started breaking this down in a relatively easy way for me to do on day 1. Yesterday I literally worked on doing character development and plotting out these revisions for 4 hours. And it's just really exciting for me that I have this kind of zeal to work on it right now. I was really worried about getting back into the book after handing in my last workshop submission, but I was so excited. As soon as I handed in that workshop submission, I immediately that day wrote 2,500 words, and it was just so exciting to kind of be able to break back into the story so easily. So I've kind of started to, get a lot of ideas, and I'm really excited at this point to start kind of tinkering with chapter 1. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to just finish the chapter I'm drafting, finish the scene, and then what I'm gonna do for chapter 1 is I don't think I'm gonna go and start adding new scenes yet. I think what I'm gonna do is just read over it and flesh it out now that I have some new ideas, because that's kind of how I would normally edit a short story. Got so much new information on the characters not really on Sybil, but on the side characters, that I think that might be a good strategy for me. And then also, it's been so long since I've looked at this that it might give me an idea on where to place some of the new things I want to add. It would be awesome if instead of adding all these new scenes, I could kind of just like flesh out scenes that are already there. But the sky though. Hello friends! So, it's been a while. It's March 20th. Sorry this button on my jacket's a little flaccid looking. I forgot I was filming this vlog. Anyways, I think the first clip I filmed for this was like March 1st. Anyways, hi. So, I don't really know what have I been doing for the past 20 days of my life. I honestly can't tell you. I don't know. It's all a blur, but I'm sure it was important to the development of myself as a complex individual or something. My life is blurring together. So, I have had the past 2 days have been the most productive days. I'm a busy human. I'm a university senior. I have a job. Those things generally consume my life. And so usually when I'm writing, it's in kind of like a spare moment. So I'm often alternating, like I'll have a few hours and do a bit of writing, do a bit of work, do a bit of school, whatever. Or what happens most often is it's 11 p.m. at night or later, I'm finally finishing up my work for school and my job for the day. And then that's when I write. But the past few days, okay, first of all, the weather has been so beautiful. Like, it's evening now, it's like 7:30, but I live in the PNW. The sunlight has not touched my skin since October. I always think I like gloomy weather until the sun shines, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this a zeal to live? I forget what that is. I had a front-heavy semester, so the majority of the work for my semester was at the start of the semester. So luckily, my end of semester is a little easy. Yesterday and the day before, I went out to work at a coffee shop. Yesterday, I was there for almost 6 hours. Today, I was there for about 4 hours. I would have gone earlier today, except that I filmed 7 videos for work for Reedsy today. 7. I have gotten so much done, it's insane. Yesterday, I was doing school as well, and also some stuff for work. But I still got a lot of writing done. Was working on editing chapter 3 of Honey Vinegar. Today, I had all of my work done, before I went. So I got to the coffee shop around 3. I can't remember the last time I was able to block aside 4 hours for myself to just write, not have to alternate with school, not have to alternate with work. Like, I literally had 4 hours to just write, and I got so much done. So I finished editing chapter 3, which editing normally takes me hella long time, but I've literally been editing a chapter in a sitting or 2. And then I did a bunch of edits on Kudzu Girls because I was working with a professional editor through Reedsy. Those videos are probably up on that channel already. But I did the biggest thing that I needed to do, which was rewriting like a third of the story. Like, this is the kind of edit that when I used to have to do these kinds of edits for workshops, they would take me weeks. I just did it in a day. And then I did some edits for, I don't think I've announced this yet on this channel. Anyways, I'm in a literary magazine. Details coming later. It's my biggest publication, yeah. Out of my 2. So, I had edits from the editor to do. So I just did them. I'm literally feeling so good. Like, on the weekend, I did a ton of submissions, and I edited a short story because I'm in a short story writing elective. It's a terrible class, but anyways, I got that back from the professor, and he was like, I don't hate this. I gave it to a friend who read it, and he was like, this is actually your best story. And I was like, that's shocking. I thought it was bad. And then he had a few edits, and I just did them right away, guys. This is a running theme for me of just doing things right away. Normally, that's not how it works. Normally, when I have edits, I don't do them right away. I angst over how I'm gonna solve the little puzzle, the little riddle that is these edits for months. I am been on fire lately, and it's been great. So even though there were like 20 days of this vlog that I didn't update, I think the past 2 days of my life make up for it. Anyways, everything's going well. I'm on a roll with my book. I've been on a roll with short stories. Life's good, man. Also, there's a cat here. It's the 24th of March. I'm just making tea right now. It's like 11:30 in the morning. My critique partner and I are gonna do a word sprint. I'm editing, but there is a little scene that I have to write that might fit perfectly in like a 10 or 20 minute writing slot, so we're gonna do that. It would be really nice if I could finish chapter 4 today. I don't really know. Chapter 4 is math, we're not really sure, but I have blocked out my edits. Hello, so it's March 24th or 25th? I don't know, it's the Monday. I'm going to class soon, but I thought I would film a little clip. I got a package, and I thought I would open it just because it's some book. As for an update on my novel, things are, like, the ball is really rolling. We did 2 word sprints. I wrote one little scene that, like, I was adding. I wrote the whole thing. It was a really short scene. I wrote that whole thing. For our second word sprint, I added on to the end of the book. And then I also ended up, I actually wrote a lot yesterday. I wrote another new scene that I needed for chapter 4. By the end of the book, I mean chapter 8. Like, chapter 8 is where I'm currently at in the draft, but I'm editing chapter 4 right now. I kind of just wrote chapter 8 for the sake of the word sprint, but I'm not really working on that because I'm doing the edits right now. I wrote a new scene that I was adding to chapter 4 that I thought I wasn't gonna like because it was like a dialogue scene. It was like a more conversation-y scene, and I haven't really been feeling my dialogue lately. But I was actually quite happy with how it turned out. I think I'm finally really enjoying this character dynamic between these 2 characters. It's between Teresa and Sybil. But now it's like one of my favorite dynamics. Like, it's actually so tender. Rewrote a scene that I needed to write, and so now I just have one more scene that I have to edit, but it's like the longest scene of the chapter. It's kind of like the bulk scene that makes up the chapter. For now, let's open this box. Hashtag not sponsored. I mean, you probably know what Book Outlet is. Book Outlet is basically just where you can buy very cheap books. The selection is not as good as it would be on like Amazon, where you can buy anything. They kind of just have limited selection, but the books that they have in stock are very, very discounted. Every once in a while, I kind of just go through and see what they have and do like a big order and get kind of anything that I want that they have in stock just because their books are so cheap. I thought I'd do a little book haul. So the first book I picked up, man, there's so many freaking hardcovers in here. I normally don't buy hardcovers because they're expensive unless it's from Book Outlet, but there's so many. So the first book I picked up was Girls Burn Brighter by Shova Rao. I've been wanting to read this for a really long time. Really excited. The second book I picked up, I've been wanting to read this a lot, and on Amazon, I don't think they had it in stock on Amazon. Like, they only had like the audiobook or something, and it's She Would Be King by Waitu Moore. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm probably not. This is a new release, and so the fact that they had it there was surprising to me. I'm very excited. This is probably going to be one that I pick up soon, if not next. This book is like set in historical Liberia. This book I picked up is Everything Here Is Beautiful by Mira T. Lee. Very excited for this. It's been recommended to me highly by a lot of people. The next book I picked up is What We Lose by Zinzi Clemens. First of all, the cover is so pretty. I don't know much about it. I've just had it on my to-read on Goodreads for a really long time. It's one I'm going into a little more blind. The next one I picked up is Our Homesick Songs by Emma Hooper. So this book a friend of mine recently read and really, really loved. This is Camlet. I think it's set in Newfoundland, which I'm really excited for because the YA novel that I'm writing, I don't work on it that often, the YA novel I'm writing, someone will say is set in Newfoundland, and I don't read a ton of books set there, and I think there's like some folkloric aspects, which is really interesting to me just because like my other novel is got some folkloric aspects. So the next one I picked up was Human Acts by Han Kang. I read Han Kang's The Vegetarian last year, I think, and it was so freaking weird. The Vegetarian was literally one of the weirdest books I've ever read, and I don't really know what this is about other than the fact that it has bones and birds on the cover, so it's wholly my aesthetic, and also it's by Han Kang, and I trust her to weird me out. Okay, I've only got 2 more. So the next one that I bought was also a book that has been on my to-be-read pile for a very long time, but I've never picked up. Home Fire by Camilla Shamsi. I don't really know what this is about. If I'm being honest, it's just been on my to-be-read pile for a very long time, and I've seen very good reviews, so. And then the final book I picked up is actually one I've already read. It's a book that my professor gave me, so I borrowed it from her, and I am like a hopeless book collector. I like to own the books that I've read. If I've like already read it, then I don't feel justified buying it at full price, so I kind of just wait and see if it shows up on Book Outlet, and this one did show up on Book Outlet, so that was kind of nice, and it's Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. This is a short story collection. Problem. I'm literally out of space on my shelves. And I still have 3 books left, and also Fever Dream. I just took this out because I'm running into a friend. I moved all of my journals elsewhere. Found an elegant solution. Hello, I'm back from class. It's kind of late. It's like 6 p.m. I was on campus for a while just working after class like I tend to do. I have a couple friends and we kind of have like a study group thing. Kind of ratchet because it started raining as I was walking home and my jacket did not have a hood, so my hair is doing a bit of a thing. I finished chapter 4, which is been my problematic chapter. That chapter has been causing me issues. I definitely think it's doing better things than it was initially. Okay, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but there's a scene at the end of the chapter. It used to be the vehicle for 2 flashbacks as well as some character stuff in the present. I moved those flashbacks to chapter 2, so now the scene was just standing on its own. I could have just gotten rid of it, but someone in my workshop interpreted it in a much smarter way than I did. It now speaks with the flashbacks that we had earlier, but they're not integrated. But what I really needed the scene to be was a turning point for the relationship between the main character and the sister, and I also wanted to use that note that my friend interpreted as, which I hadn't been intentional, but I think was a really better use of the character work in the scene and was really interesting, so I wanted to use that. Fixed it up. I'm still just not 100% happy with it, but for now I'm gonna move on because all the threads are there, and so obviously I'll have to tinker with it more later. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm on to chapter 5, which is going to be much easier to edit. Chapter 5, basically I only have one note of something that I want to fix. Chapter 5 is already very long and is probably my favorite chapter. I really just want to clarify something. That's literally 2 sentences, so this is going to be an easy chapter to edit. Super stoked to be done these edits and then just get to draft again. Obviously my writing process is very involved with editing as I go, but I think it's the thing that's keeping me on track. I know a lot of people say that you shouldn't edit as you go, and for a lot of writers it's really bad and it really doesn't work well, but for me, honestly, it's my saving grace. I've been doing it for both my works in progress, this book and Someone Will Save You, which even with that book I edit as I go because I don't like the first draft. Like, anytime I write something for that book, I just really hate it. So editing as I go makes me feel like the book is not garbage because I hate the first draft of everything and I can only like it after I edit it. Whereas for this book, it's to really keep the plot tight and to keep everything, just the continuity good and keep my structure on track. You know, I'm not outlining this book, and so editing as I go helps me kind of, it's like I write, I figure things out, and then I go back and I apply them. This is like my movement through the book, you know, like kind of like go forward and then I loop back and apply stuff, and then I go forward and I loop back and apply stuff, and I don't know, it's working for me. Hello, so I'm just sitting in a field, as one does. So do my update here, because it's nice out, and it's like 6 p.m. I haven't started chapter 5 yet. I'm gonna probably do that this evening when I finish up the rest of the work I have to do today. I still have to edit a video and do workshop comments. So, just having crises about my life time. Did another word sprint with Soto this morning, and wrote more of chapter 8. I'm quite happy with how it's coming along. Chapter 8's a chapter I've wanted to write for so long. The other thing I did today that I'm pretty excited about is I blocked out my next few chapters, so kind of planned out what the next few chapters will entail. Like I have said, I don't outline. Well, I'm not outlining this book. I used to outline. I did a whole video on that. Cards. And it's great. I've been loving my writing process more than I have loved writing, or at least loved writing novels. I feel like for the past few years, I have only really gotten joy out of writing short stories, and novels were not fun for me. Changing my process and going back to discovery writing has made me love writing novels again. And I love my life, so that's great. Anyways, I guess I would say like I plant, because I kind of pants, but I kind of plan. I don't make an outline of the whole book, but as I go through, the book kind of starts to clarify a few beats ahead of where I am. So like what's being illuminated is a little farther than where I am. So I'm nearing the midpoint of the book, which is probably going to be not exactly the midpoint. It's probably going to be like the 60%. My book is in 2 parts. It's the end of part 1. I'm nearing the end of part 1, which is a big turning point. Big T. It's one of the scenes I am most looking forward to write. I kind of had this chapter that I'm writing, chapter 8, it's called War Doll, and then the next chapter, which I have a tentative title for, it's Toy Soldier, but I might change it. That's just like, those chapters are kind of a pair, so I kind of liked that the titles speak to each other. And then I kind of intuitively could feel like I was missing a couple of beats, probably 2 chapters worth of beats, and then I'm gonna have my midpoint, and then there's 2 chapters after that that are all kind of part of the midpoint. Kind of have that planned out, and I kind of started to block out what those 2 missing chapters, it might not be 2 chapters, but intuitively I feel like it's around 2 chapters worth of content. I don't have really individual scenes yet. I kind of just know the concepts of what I need to explore and unveil and develop. That's about that. The only other thing I thought I would mention was kind of like how I go through this book not outlining. I kind of view each chapter as a short story. Part of that is why I title my chapters, is so I'm very aware of like the concept of the chapter. In order to make sure my plot is always moving and my character is doing the work that a character has to do, I make sure that in every single chapter she makes a choice or does something active, and usually those go hand in hand. So that the arc feels closed and the chapter has actually moved forward. The chapter I'm writing right now, I can kind of talk about this chapter out of context pretty easily actually. It's a fairly easy one to talk out of context because it's introducing a lot of new stuff. It's called War Doll. And so the main concept of this chapter is the main character basically trying to set up a friendship for her sister with this other girl who she's the type the chapter's referencing. Her name's Anushka. And Anushka, Sybil's kind of seen her like a doll. She's giving her to her sister to like placate her like you would give a doll to like a upset child. So she's very much objectifying Anushka and kind of just seeing her as a means to make her sister less sad. But obviously this goes bad because my main character is a cold-hearted bitch, and so why would we think she would be a good wingman? So like the kind of thematic beat of the chapter is that idea of Sybil objectifying Anushka. The plot concept is that establishment of her character and her relationships with the girls, and then the action that Sybil does is actively trying to set up this friendship. So that's kind of how I view all my chapters. They have like a thematic arc, they have a plot arc, and there's like the core action that my main character does. That's kind of how I keep my plot moving and make sure it's always moving and not stalled, because that can be an issue when you don't outline, is your character can start to become passive because you don't have a plan, and so you don't know how to make them act, and your plot can get meandering and things can be extraneous. I'm gonna walk home now because I have work to do, and I've just been sitting in a field for the past 10 minutes talking about my book. Later, dudes. Anyways, it's April 2nd. I'm just walking to my coffee shop right now. I have a ton of work that I have to get done today. I have a final project due on Thursday. It's a 5-page pitch for an original TV series that I've not done. It's Tuesday right now. It's going pretty well. It's not gonna be a struggle. I really, really love my show, actually. It's about witches. I have to do that. I have workshop comments. I have to do my last workshop comments ever. And then I have a ton of stuff I have to do for work. I have to make a bunch of edits to a video. If I do have time, I would love to do a little bit of writing. I never filmed an outro clip to this, but I'm gonna end the vlog now because it's super long. I did finish editing the last chapters that I was editing. So chapter 5 barely had anything. I did that one in one sitting. I basically just read it over, touched up some of the dialogue that I wasn't really liking, and added a couple sentences for clarity to clear up some stuff that people were confused by in my workshop. Chapter 6 and 7 were the 2 chapters that I hadn't had workshopped, and so I didn't have as much to change for them. Chapter 6, again, I just like read it over and cleaned it up. I didn't have anyone else's feedback to work with. I finished up chapter 7. Chapter 7 is the one chapter I'm not too happy with. I did my edit on it. There was one scene that I had to like reframe. Chapter 7 is one chapter I'm really not happy with. It's only 2 scenes, whereas like most of the other chapters are like 4, 5, 6, 7 scenes. So it's a very short chapter. It's like 3,000 words. The one scene of it, like there's one long scene that is long. I don't know. It's just the one chapter I'm really not feeling yet, but I'm sure I'll get it eventually. For now, I'm not really focusing on it. I'm just moving on. So yeah, that's basically the update on my book. These edits took me around a month to do, which is pretty good. I would have estimated they would have taken longer, so this is the first time in my life that a task took me less time than I thought it would. So yeah, I'm just gonna sign off now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can send me an ask on Tumblr, and I will see you next time. Bye.